Okay, just a real quick video here on re-inking some pens with re-inker fluid that was meant for ink pads. Marvy makes the Marvy matchable pads. I say that because the color, I say that with a little bit of a question at the end, or an asterisk, because they don't make these color-coded pads, but they do make blank pads, and they have all the re-inker fluids that you can kind of create your own color pad with the re-inkers, but the re-inkers match with the pens that they have. This is a number 7 pad here. This is a number 7 orange pen, okay? Now, I think I've done this video before where I showed you how to re-ink these pens, maybe with some water or something like that, but one of the things I didn't go into, I don't remember doing, is just re-inking kind of a darker version of a pen where they don't have the re-inker fluid for that specific color. On this video here, I just show that you can go back in, and if you have a few select Marvy matchable re-inkers, kind of the lighter versions of whatever kind of color scheme or hue that you're working in, you can go ahead and just re-ink with the lighter version. So in this video, I re-ink the number 7 pen, orange pen, with the 7 re-inker. But I'll show you just how to re-ink this number 88 darker version of orange with that same re-inker, and you'll still get a darker version of this orange, even though you're just re-inking it with a lighter version of ink. It's because there's a little bit of ink left over in here. It could be dry, and it just reconstitutes and it mixes with the re-inker that you're doing. So anyways, things like greens right here. I don't know. I mean, if I put this re-inker fluid in this green, it probably would change the spirit of it a little bit, but if it comes down to, either tossing out, your pen, or just re-inking it with a lighter version, changing it a little bit, I just say, for me, personally, I would just re-ink it with a lighter version and get some other version of this that's probably somewhere in between those, but closer to the darker version. So anyways, get your media to last, a very long time, and that's, for me, that's what it's about. It's trying to maximize the abilities and what you can do with your media. And for me, it's not about when things really go dry. For me, it's about when just the pad wears out or something like that, or the tips are just absolutely frayed and no longer usable. So, I don't know, you can get your media to last a really long time in many circumstances, okay? So these pens right here are probably, I don't know, well over 20 years old. They changed the barrels on them and the design of these pens a really long time ago, so you can imagine how old these ones are, but they're still working fine for me. It's just a matter of, re-inking them, or in this video I mentioned you can also add a little bit of water to it, and it'll kind of give your pens a bit of a second life, so we can, over the course of 20 years, maybe there's 4 lives to them or something of that sort. Anyways, hope this comes in handy for you, and thanks for tuning in. Okay, this is just a quick video on what to do with your Marvy matchable pens should they run dry. Okay, there's a little bit of green on here because I'm about to do some coloring of something. Alright, this is a number 7 orange. I mean, it is really dry. Okay, so what you can do is, when Marvy pads came out, they called them Marvy matchables because they matched, the pens matched the colors, or the pads matched the colors of the pens, alright? So they were coming out with a new vehicle for their inks, which is pad form, and they created re-inkers for these pads, okay? This one happens to be the number 7 orange, this number 7 orange pen, okay? Now, what I did right here is, if you have a pretty good grip, mine's okay, I can pull off the back. If you don't, grab a pair of pliers or something like that and just yank it right off. This is the inside of the Marvy pen brush marker. there's two things you can do. You can add a little bit of water down here, like if you don't have the reinker, but if you have the reinker and you want a nice, fully saturated color, I'm just taking this and I'm just adding a few drops down here, and I can kind of see it. I don't know, I guess you can kind of see it there. See that darker area of the reservoir, ink reservoir? That's the part where that ink is kind of soaked down in there. Now, you just kind of put it back in there like so. Put the cap back on, and eventually that ink will flow up to that tip through whatever capillary action. But if I just want to get it kind of rolling, maybe I'll put some of this ink on this tip here. Like I said, if your pen ever goes dry from, let's say, just non-use, it means the color is still in there, and you can reconstitute the color with some water through the same method that I just added with the pen here. I mean, the re-inker, okay, you can add a little bit of water in there, put a little water on there, it reconstitutes the ink, and you'll get a pretty nice saturation. But if it's gone dry from use, okay, and let's say, you know, if the tip is still good, and let's say you just don't want to purchase any reinker fluid, you can go ahead and just add some of this, or water, or I should say water. You can add water to it. It'll just give you a more kind of a diluted version of whatever color you're doing that with, okay? I think it's better than just tossing it out. Okay, so kind of coming around. Like I said, I was just coloring a tree for something, and it was really dry. But anyways, here we go. We get a good, strong, see, now that color's nice and pure. It's flowing just fine. And we get this brush marker acting like it should, or is intended to, with that quantity of ink, okay? Alright, now, Marvy Matchables, I forgot how many pad colors they ended up with. I thought it was 40, but maybe they released 5 more or something like that. I should know that, but I don't. But anyways, this is a number 88 orange. Okay, it's a darker orange than this one, right? By a little bit in value. Okay, this pen is also very dry. Okay, see that? Here we go. Okay, I was also using this on a green tree, and it wasn't working because I was removing most of the ink as opposed to applying it, because this pen is so dry that it was soaking up the ink that was on my stamp as opposed to applying this color of ink. Alright, so what do you do with something like this? They don't have a number 88 pad, alright? So, what you do, this is what I would do at least. This tip is still fine to use, okay? Take this, and why not use the lighter version of it, okay? I don't know if I wouldn't necessarily use a darker version in here. I would use a lighter version, because this lighter version will mix with whatever color is left from the original version, okay? So I'll get, you know, what I think would be a closer version to the original color than by going with something darker. Okay? So this is the number 7 being used in the number 88 here. And again, it is a lighter color. We'll put this in here. Replace the cap or whatever. Reconstitute the tip a little bit. I'm just doing that here. If I just let this sit, you know, like that for a while, it would start, you know, it would start going. But for the sake of this video, let's get this rolling right here, and we'll compare this with the with the other color of orange as well. Okay, this is pretty juicy right here. I'm not sure if it's mixed with the 88 color, but probably, okay, a little bit. Okay, let's do a few strokes with that. Okay, number 88, right? Pretty dark. Here's the number 7 orange, okay? So can you see that's lighter? I hope the camera's picking that up. It seems like it is as I'm looking in the screen here. So anyways, it's a good way to go back in and do your pens, okay? So, like I said, I don't know, one of the points of this video is that if you have these different pens here, and if you use them a lot where they're going dry, or if they're just old, you know, and you have a few Marvy re-inkers, go ahead and re-ink them and, you know, kind of get a second life out of it. These are the colors that I use in blue Marvy pads a lot, okay? Let's say I had the pen form of any type of blues or something like that, and then let's say you had the salvia blue re-inker, this light one, you can re-ink this one with it, and this one, as well as the salvia blue. You know, I'm saying, you know, if you just don't want re-inkers on every color that you have in pad form, and then you also had the pens. Now, I don't know if you can re-ink other brands of pads with the Marvy ones. It would be a matter of kind of experimentation. But let's say you had some pens from another brand. If it's absolutely dry and, you know, it's between trashing them and trying to re-ink them, I would give it a try and see how it came out, you know. Could work. They're all, as long as they're all dye-based inks, you know. Why not try to get a second life? If it's a different brand of pad, I don't know if I would fill up the entire barrel full of ink. I would probably try it on the tip there and put a little bit in the reservoir or something like that and try to get it flowing. But anyways, you know, why throw away your pens if you don't have to, right? Alright, so I use my pens for a very long time. I love getting new media, but I'm someone that always just uses up, you know, my media until it just cannot be used anymore. If I like it, you know, I'll just keep using it. So as far as my pens go and things like these brush markers, I mean, once the tip is kind of frayed or something like that, and if it's kind of smashed down, that's about the time that I start looking for a replacement. One of the things with these pens here, because you're always putting this back in like this, and ink is getting on the interior here, and that goes around here. This is where my fingers with working with pens always get the inkiest. I always have to remember to kind of wipe off the that barrel portion. Otherwise you'll end up with that. So anyways, Marvy stuff, re-inkers. You probably work with other brands as well if other brands have pads and pens as well. So that or water. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video and hope that comes in handy for you.